Hey there, what's going on? Clive Jeffrey here from clivejeffrey.com, and today I want to define influence. Now, as the dictionary has it, the definition of influence is the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something. Now, what does that actually mean? Now, from what I've been studying and reading, influence, is to be able to influence someone to act. You must be able to really tap into their core desires. Now, I've just been going through the new version of How to Win Friends and Influence People. Now, the original book came out in the 1930s, I believe, by Dale Carnegie, and this one was actually brought out, the new version, in 2011 by Dale Carnegie and Associates. So if you haven't gone through that one, I strongly recommend that you do, because it's all been updated, obviously, and it's applicable to the digital age, which is where we are. So it is very, very relevant, especially when they're looking at the topic of influence, because to be able to influence, as we're discussing here, you need to tap into those core desires. And as we go through life, we're actually can be influenced, and we can influence others even if we aren't aware of it. A good example of this is for children growing up in a Republican household, for example, will be influenced by their parents, and when they get to voting age, chances are that they're probably going to go out there and vote Republican as well. But the way I want to define it is from a business point of view, and a good story that illustrates how we need to tap into the core desires was illustrated in the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And they talked about the story of when Ralph Waldo Emerson and his son were trying to get a calf to go into the barn to be fed. Now, they wanted to feed the calf. Now, the calf was hungry, and Emerson and his son's desire was to feed the calf so that they could get on, with their next project. But there was a mismatch of communication. Now, Emerson and his son were dragging the calf and pushing it to try to get into the barn, and the calf just wouldn't budge. It was just resisting in every way that it could. They pulled and it resisted and pushed, and they were getting nowhere. And then finally, their housekeeper was watching this, and she sort of came along and said, "Look, let's try it this way." And she put out a couple of fingers, and the calf started suckling on her fingers and just followed her into the barn. So even though they had the same desire as such, that Emerson wanted to feed the calf was hungry and wanted to be fed, there was a mismatch in the communication. So he was unable to influence the calf. So that's a very powerful message there, because if you look at it from a business point of view, or from any point of view for that matter, if we can't get our message across clearly, then we're not going to have the ability to influence the person or persons that we're trying to. And this is very relevant if you're looking at any marketing message that you're doing. If you can't clearly communicate your message to your desired market or your ideal customer, then they're just not going to hear it, and they're just not going to follow the track that you want them to go. So it's really important that we do tap into their core desires, and we do this by figuring out what the actual core problems or desires are. For example, if, again, from the marketing standpoint, if you've got to figure out what is keeping your clients up at night. So for my niche market is the home business industry. I know that the biggest problems that my ideal customers face is the lack of leads and sales, that type of thing. So that's their core desire. So that's what I've got to tap into if I want to be able to influence them to come and have a look at what I've got to offer. So when I'm speaking to them, I'm going to be talking to their pain point, and that way I will be able to influence them to come and have a look at how I can solve that core problem for them. So we don't want to be like the old trial lawyer in his closing, where he's delivering a monologue to the jury and trying to convince them to come and have a look at, come to our way of thinking. We very much want to tap into the core desires, and then by doing so, have them willingly follow what we want them to do, because they know that they're going to get the desired outcome. Just like as soon as the calf realized that suckling the fingers, or which is tapping into its core desire, that message meant to it that it was going to get fed. pushing and pulling it was, just didn't have any relevance to what they were, from where the calf was coming from. So, influence, as from that we can see, has two aspects for it. First, that it needs to have a soft touch. You can't go use brute force to try and influence someone. I mean, it does work, but that's not the kind of influence that we're after. We want to have, we need more intuition than intelligence, if you like. So, in that calf situation, it was the housekeeper's intuition that led her to, lead the calf into the barn by using her fingers, and using her compassionate side. So that's the same way that we want to approach our marketing, and just the same way that we can look at a brute force situation, as far as influence goes. Yeah, you can say that you can argue that it does work. I mean, look at Hitler; he certainly had influence, but it wasn't the kind of influence that you and I'm sure, want to achieve. We're more after the types of, Gandhi or Martin Luther King. He didn't say, I have a goal and try and influence everyone to come and follow his goal. He said, no, I have a dream. And then everyone else could tap into that feeling of the dream, and they wanted to go along because they all desired that core. They had that same core desire for the same outcome, and by tapping into that core desire, he was able to influence thousands, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. So, and Gandhi was the same way, by tapping into the core desires of people that wanted the freedom, they were able to have great influence over, their desired target audience. So hopefully, you can see from this, that influence can be defined, as the real ability to tap into core desires, and then by doing so, you can provide a solution to those core desires, and that will bring the people or persons to the desired outcome, and then you do have influence. And even these principles apply to presidents, the likes of Hitler and even modern day presidents now. If they don't have the ability to tap into the core desires of their people, then they're not going to have the same following. They may be able to get some limited amount of progress, but they're not going to get that volunteer army kind of influence. So hopefully, you've had some help from this, and it's given some clarity to the definition. And if so, please leave a comment below. And also I invite you to come and connect with me on Facebook. Come and subscribe to my YouTube channel if that's where you're watching. And also come and visit me on my blog, clivejeffrey.com, because I put up a bunch of new training there almost on a daily basis that I'm sure you're going to get a lot of benefit from. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.